A couple of weeks ago, I asked you all if you'd like to hear me break down these smalls that sell, or if you'd rather that I show how I build these things. And there was an overwhelming response saying that you'd like to actually see these being built. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, occasionally, I'll probably break it up a little bit by doing a sit-down version. That way I can actually cover several different things. But for today's video, I'm going to be breaking it down just like I normally would, except I'm going to be building it as I go. We're going to be building this. So these console tables I've actually broke down in some of my previous videos. They come in 1,000 different designs, but they are all expensive. This one I think is on the cheaper end, and it was like 160 bucks, but it's cheaply built. So we're going to be breaking this one down, and I'm probably going to be implementing some changes as we go. Now, I've never built this design, so I'll just be breaking it down as I build it, kind of like I explained in other videos. So one of the first things that I noticed that I do not like is that the legs are actually built out of 2x4s, and everything else is built out of 3/4 inch material. I say go one way or the other, but if you're building a thin console table, why not use some thinner material? So personally, I think that 3/4 of an inch would be just about perfect, but for this video, guess what we're using? I want to be using some fence pickets. Now, do I just absolutely love building stuff out of fence pickets? No. A lot of times it's actually harder to work with, but it's still some of the cheapest material that you can find out there. I'm going to be using some cedar for mine, but you can really use any type of material that you want. But for the sake of measurements for today's video, whatever you decide to use, just make sure that it's a 1x6 or 5.5 inches wide. So after I've gotten a general idea of the length, which I want it right around 46 inches long, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting parts. So let's start off with the top. I honestly have no clue how many of these that I'm actually going to be needing for this project, but I'll definitely know by the end of the video. So for the top, I'm going to make sure that the pickets that I use do not have a bow or a cup. This one looks pretty good. That one's not bad either. That one's got a bit of a bow to it. This one's cupped. The rest of the parts will be ripped down, so a little bit of bow or cup will actually be ripped out. All right, so now that I have the pickets that I'm going to be using for the top, I'm going to head over to the miter saw. So I said earlier that I want these to be right around 46 inches long. Since the trim that I'll be adding to this later is 1/2 inch thick on each side, we need to cut our 2 boards for the top at 45 inches long. So now that we have our top boards cut, let's make sure to hang on to the cutoffs. We're going to be needing those later. We have our 2 top boards cut. We'll head over to the table saw to trim these edges up. While we're there, we'll go ahead and rip down the material that we need for the rest of this project. So another thing that I can tell already just from the picture of this build, we can do this in an afternoon. So for our 2 boards that we're going to be using for our top, I'm just going to clean up each side and size these boards down to 5 inches wide each. That way I'll end up with a nice 11-inch wide tabletop. Now that I have the boards from our tabletop cut, I'm going to rip down a few more pickets into 2.5-inch strips. And just like always, I'm going to be explaining to you step by step on how to build these things. But if you are a plans in the hand type of person, head over to my website. I'll make sure to throw a link in the description. All right, so now that we have our strips cut, let's go ahead and finish cutting the parts for our top. So for the 2 long side aprons, I don't like what they did with this one and just use butt joints. Yes, you can make it work, but it's just something about 45-degree angles adds quite a bit to it. So let's do that. I'll show you a super quick way to mark your boards to make sure that the fit is perfect. I'm just going to take one of my strips, cut a 45-degree angle on one side, and I'm just going to match the edge of my 45-degree angle up to the end of my board. I'll just move down to the opposite side, make a mark on my board where this edge is at. Now I know exactly where the inside of my next 45-degree cut needs to be. So the total length from tip to tip of these front and back boards, that'll be 46 inches. Let me show you a super easy way to cut these to fit, that way that your trim is perfect. I'm going to head over to the miter saw. Then we'll use the cutoffs of these to make our end trim. We'll even be using the 45-degree angle from the previous cut. I told you that the tip-to-tip length would be 46 inches. Well, that's because I'm using 1/2-inch material. But let's say that you're using 3/4 of an inch material. Then the length from tip to tip will be 46.5 inches. Basically, you're just doubling the thickness of your material. So for our 2 end boards, since our top is going to be 10 inches wide, they'll need to be 11 inches from tip to tip. So based on this picture, it looks like that the aprons are the exact same length as our top boards. If our top boards are only 45 inches, why aren't our aprons? Because I'm not going to be building it like that. For a build like this, I prefer to inset my tops. Just gives it a lot cleaner look. Again, totally up to you. So now let's go ahead and figure out what angles that our legs need to be cut at. Now mine's going to be a little bit different than this picture because I think that we can add a little bit more to this. So whereas the top of their legs are spaced further out, I'll be bringing mine further in. Let me show you a quick way to figure out this angle. So I'm just going to be using one of my side aprons as a reference. Since I want this to be right around 28 inches tall, I'm going to space the top of my apron 28 inches from the edge of my workbench. I'm going to take a T-square and line it up with the edge of my board. This will help me to determine where the tip of my bottom angle needs to be. And if you don't have a large T-square, you can just use a flat board. Now I'm going to find the center of this sideboard or my apron. And I'm going to measure out 3 inches on each side from the center. And this is where I want my legs to cross at. That's where I'm wanting the edge of our leg board to intersect our top board. So just like this. So I want to bring the tip of my leg board up to the very edge of my top. So with my board intersecting at our mark at the top, and then at the bottom, I want the tip of my board touching the edge of my square. This will give us the angle that we need to end up with a leg that looks like this. So, not hard at all. Well, the only thing I need to do to figure this angle out is to mark the overhang that goes over the edge of my workbench. Give us something like this. So now we have an unknown angle on one end. The only thing that we have to do is match our miter saw up to this angle, and it's no longer unknown. And the cool thing is that we'll be using the exact same angle on the opposite side of this board. Let's get these cut. And it looks like our unknown angle is going to be 36 degrees. So we'll cut our mark. That's all that you have to do is flip the board over and use this exact same angle on the end. Once you get your angles cut on each end of your board, now we have a template to cut our second leg. And if you just wanted to skip to the cutting for this project, we used a 36-degree angle, and each one of these legs will be 36 inches from tip to tip. We'll be needing 4 of these. Now with our legs cut, let's take 2 of these and head back to our layout. So now we'll just use a couple of pieces of scrap wood just to build up the bottoms of our feet. I'm going to bring these to the edge of my workbench and line our edge back up with the mark that we made on our top. We're going to do the exact same thing for the second leg that we've cut. So the most important thing is you line up the tops with the edge of your board and your bottoms will automatically be square. So now we have a side that looks like this. I want to add a connection point here. This is just going to add that next level of detail. And pretty much you can make this anywhere that you like. So for me, I'm going to start off by measuring 3 inches in from the end of my board. Once I have that marked, I'll line the top corner up at the top of my board and then make sure that it intersects at my mark. You can mark it on the top edge of your board or underneath where it intersects the leg. Now that we have this marked, we'll just find our angle on the table saw and cut 4 of these. Angles for the side braces will be 31 degrees and they're 18 inches from tip to tip. Just make sure for your braces that your angles are being cut like this. Okay, so I had my first mess up of this build. And whenever you're building things from scratch like this, you're going to mess up. But what I did was try to cut these braces like I did the legs and use the exact same angle on both ends. It's not going to work that way because I want the top of this brace to cover my top board, but I want the bottom of this brace to actually meet flush with this board. So that's going to throw our length and our angle off a bit. Okay, so these parts are still salvageable. You just need to put the correct angle on the bottoms of each one of these boards. So we know that our top is where we want it. That was the edge of this, 3 inches in from the end. And we're just going to put a backboard here just to push against. And I'm just going to mark the top and the bottom of where this board intersects. And I'm just going to use one of my edges here just to strike a line there. Okay, so now this will actually be the real angle that we need to meet up to our leg. We'll figure out what this angle is, make the cut, and use this as a template for our other 3. Easy fix. And that angle turned out to be 24 degrees and a total length of 15 inches from tip to tip. We have a 31-degree angle on our top side and a 24-degree angle on our bottom side. And I'm just going to use that board as my template to fix my other 3 braces. See, just because you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. We all do it. So for the final piece of this puzzle, before we actually get to start assembling all of this, we need to figure out the length of our bottom shelf. So we already know that it's going to be at a 30-degree angle because each of our legs are at a 30-degree angle. So now you just need to measure how high that you actually want this shelf to be. Personally, I'd like the bottom of mine to be about 5 inches up from the tips of my legs. I'll just measure 5 inches up, make a mark. Same thing on the opposite leg, 5 inches up. We'll get our legs lined back up with our marks on the top. Then we'll just measure from leg to leg at our marks. And it's 43 inches. So now I know that we need 2 boards that are 43 inches long from tip to tip. So we already know that the angles that we're going to be needing for this board will be 36 degrees. That's because our legs are both cut at 36 degrees on each end. Let's go ahead and get those cut. Now remember at the very beginning I said hang on to the cutoffs from the tabletop. That's what we're going to be using for our shelf boards. But those are going to be installed last. Now you can go ahead and paint or stain all of this material any color that you would like. And while you're at it, go ahead and do the same for these scrap boards. Then you may just have to do some touch-ups later. Alright, so if you have decided to paint or stain your parts, then we're now at this step. I decided to go ahead and stain mine just to give it a little bit of an older look. So now we're ready to start assembling our parts. I'm going to start off with my 2 top boards and my 4 side braces. I'm going to be adding some pocket holes to these parts. And we're going to start off with the tabletop. And I'm going to cut pocket holes 2 inches away from each end, and then every 1 foot apart in the center. Now this step is completely up to you. You can actually glue and clamp this up if you would like, or even just connect the 2 with some wooden slats on the bottom. We'll just make these identical now with our pocket holes cut in one of our top boards. Let's go ahead and connect the 2. Now before we cut our pocket holes into our braces, let's go ahead and lay our side profile back out. That way we make sure that we cut the pocket holes on the right sides of the material. The whole purpose of pocket holes is to conceal a joint. So what we're looking at now will be the inside of each one of our sides. So our braces are going to be laid out like this. So we want pocket holes here and here. And since we'll have 2 of these, we'll just take our remaining 2 boards and match these up. Now that we have our pocket hole placement marked, let's go ahead and get these cut. Now since I'm using 1/2 inch material, I have my drill bit collar set to 1/2 inch, and I'll be using 1 1/4 screws. I always do a test cut and attach it to a piece of scrap wood, just in case you need to adjust your collar a bit. So we just finished up cutting our pocket holes with the 720 Pro, and I figured that now would be the perfect time to thank Kreg Tools for being the sponsor of today's video. Plus, while we were drilling those holes, I got a special delivery for something that I've been waiting for a long time from Kreg. That is a portable pocket hole joiner, and they have done it with Kreg's Rebel 20-volt ionic pocket hole joiner. So one of the best things about this is that it's a drill and jig built into one tool. This thing looks and feels awesome. Let's try it out. The Rebel is the first ever cordless all-in-one pocket hole joinery tool. With a powerful brushless motor, it delivers fast one-motion pocket hole drilling. And you all know that I love my 720 Pro. But with the Rebel, Kreg has thought of everything. It's easy to see indicator lines and reference marks for quick and accurate alignment. And then you have the toolless depth and fence adjustment with micro adjust settings. So let's say that you're working with some material that may fall in between the 1/2 inch and 3/4. You can use the micro adjuster to fine-tune the depth of your pocket hose. Now that's awesome. It also has a clear built-in dust collection box that you can use with or without a vacuum, keeping your workspace clean and your line of sight clear for perfectly placed pocket holes. And with the 20-volt ionic drive battery powering this thing, it frees you up from the workbench and rewrites the rules of joinery. And the best part is that it's portable. Alright, so I know this is not a how to build face frames video, but I just had to test this Rebel out and see what all it can do. It's pretty awesome. So as you can tell, I'm pretty pumped about the Kreg Rebel pocket hole joiner. But their new Ionic tools doesn't stop with this bad boy. Head over to KregTools.com to check out the full Ionic drive lineup. So now that we've had our new tool fun, let's get back to this build. Now with all of our pocket holes cut, let's start putting this thing together. We're going to start by attaching our legs to our front and back aprons. And again, like anything else, there's several different ways to do this. Now I'll be using wood glue and a crown stapler. And I may come back here in a bit and add a couple of screws. Now with our legs installed to the apron, let's go ahead and add in our braces. And once the braces are attached to your apron, now we can connect the brace to the leg using our pocket hose. And to finish up this side assembly, let's add our bottom shelf board. Alright, so this is what we're looking like. And I think it's looking pretty awesome for fence pickets. Let's finish these up. And with one of our side assemblies done, just repeat all these steps to assemble our second one. Okay, so now that we have both of our side assemblies put together, let's go ahead and finish this thing up with our top and our shelf. So I was getting everything set up to attach our tops, and I found another issue. Okay, and so this is why I like doing videos like this, because I've never made something like this before. So essentially this is my prototype, and I'm going to make mistakes with the first one that I build. But by doing videos like this, you can see those mistakes and how I decide to fix them. So essentially what I did with these leg assemblies is I didn't leave the room to inset my tabletop. So you notice how I connected each brace and each leg all the way to the top of my apron? Well, since I'm using 1/2 inch material, I should have left a 1/2 inch of space on the tops of each one of these aprons. So now what do I do to fix it? I've got these things glued up and nailed, so I can either attach the tabletop to the top of the frame, which I really don't like that look, or the option that I'm going to go with, which is I'm going to trim off a 1/2 inch by running this through the table saw. It looks like that it's going to clear all of my crown staples, so let's do that. But keep in mind, if you've been taking measurements through this video, just decrease the length of your braces and your legs by 1/2 inch. So at the table saw, I'm just going to set my blade height to a 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to set my fence to a 1/2 inch. Then I'll just run this entire assembly through, trimming off a 1/2 inch from my braces and my legs. All right, so now that we've fixed that little mistake, which since you're watching the video, you won't make that mistake. But now that I have fixed my mistake, let's go ahead and put this thing together. So with my tabletop face down, I'm going to add some wood glue to the side of my tabletop. I'm going to attach my front and back assemblies. Like I mentioned earlier, this can be done in several different ways. I'll be using crown staples, and you could also put some L brackets on the inside just to strengthen it up if you wanted. Now with the front and back on, let's add our side trim. All right, now it's starting to look more like a table. So right now the legs are still a little bit wobbly because there's really no support at the bottom. But the next step, putting on the bottom shelves, it's going to fix all of that. All right, so now for this bottom shelf. Okay, so the parts that I have left to work with are those end pieces that I said to hang on to from the beginning. They're still 5.5 inches wide, and we're not going to have enough of just these to make our bottom shelf. Yes, we could easily just cut some more pieces off of another picket, but let's see if we can work with what we've got. Also, I have some more of this 2.5 inch strip left, so let's make our shelf boards 2.5 inches wide. So I'll just take these 5.5 inch end pieces and rip them down to 2.5 inches so it matches my other material. I'll go ahead and stain these up while I'm at it. Okay, so with my shelf material ripped down to 2.5 inches wide, I went ahead and cut 13 boards 10 inches long. This should be just what we need to finish this up. And then to install our shelf board, I'm just going to start on one side using some wood glue and crown staples. And as far as the spacing between each slat, I'm just using a 1/2 inch piece of scrap wood. Okay, so check this out. So this is my version of the side table that you can build in an afternoon using common material. So if I just use pine pickets, I could make this for around $12. And the cost to make this is awesome, especially if you're going to be building these to resell. But honestly, that's not the best part about this build. The best part is that we were able to make this just by looking at a picture. Not only were we able to replicate something that they're selling for 10 to 20 times the cost, but in my opinion, we made it better. Yes, we made a couple of mistakes along the way, but that's all part of it. We're human. We make mistakes. But the thing that sets us apart from others is that we do not give up just because we make those mistakes. We figure out where we went wrong and then we fix it. And when you get to the point of realizing that failure is a part of growth, that's when you can unlock your full potential as a maker and in everyday life. Until next time, get up, get out, and get your make on. We'll see ya.